So we're on this series called Access Granted. Somebody say access. Nothing worse than having something you can't get into. You know, I don't know why mom would make cookies and then hide them. Well, I know now why, but it sure didn't feel good then, right? We needed to have a limited access, but God doesn't want to hide anything from us. He's not like mom who needed to hide cookies. God wants us to have everything. But it's an ugly feeling knowing that you have access to stuff and it doesn't feel like you can get to it, right? And that's not how God wants us to live. I know that's not how the Word of God wants us to live. So I want to share some things today. And today I'm going to talk about going from crutches to ladder as we talk about accessing hope. Somebody say hope. And so let me read a couple of verses to you, and then I'll go from there. This is our key verse, Matthew chapter 16 and verse 19. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus said. He said, I will give you, it was a promise, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And then in Revelation, we see the manifestation of that promise where it comes like this in chapter 1, verse 18. I am the living one. I died, but look, I am alive forevermore. Somebody say alive forevermore. And I hold the keys. So I want you to know that Jesus didn't resurrect just so that he can come out of the grave. He resurrected out of the grave because he wanted to put something in your hand. Just think about that for a minute. He resurrected out of the grave because he wanted to put something in your hand. And you know what that thing is? It's the keys to the kingdom. It's the keys to the kingdom. And so I want to help you with that in just a moment. I want us to learn to access hope today. Somebody say hope. Hope. Hebrews 11:1, and we're going to address this a couple of times today. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You cannot even have faith if you don't have hope. If you can't believe that it could happen, you'll never believe that it will happen. Faith says it will happen. Hope says because you believe it can happen. And there's a lot of us who don't believe it can happen, so faith isn't working for us. Does that make sense? And I want to show you how we can change that. Somebody say change it. Can I say this to you? You see this first passage there in your notes. It says hope is soul food. Hope is soul food. And you may say, Pastor Eli, what is soul food? I keep telling my kids, you know, like I had Pastor Lee's kids and my kids over. We were spring break. And I got, you know, I don't know, like 2, maybe 3 cases of soda. There's only, he got 5, I got 3. There's only 8 kids. Do the math. 3 cases of soda. I thought I had like 40 people at my house. I thought, how could they drink that much soda? And here's what I learned. A lot of us feed our body, but very few of us fuel our body. Just because you put something in doesn't mean what you're putting in is good for you. So your soul has an appetite. And if you don't feed your soul well, you could be putting stuff in your soul, but it doesn't mean it's the right stuff. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So I want to leave you with this verse as I start this message, already. This is 3 John, so 3 John only has 1 chapter, and this is verse 2. This is how John starts verse 2 in the first chapter of the 3rd letter. My beloved friend, I pray that everything is going well for you and that your body is as healthy as your soul is prosperous. No matter how good your body is, if your soul is sick, it's only a matter of time before you will become sick. Your soul must be healthy, and what you feed your soul determines how your body's going to feel, how your life is going to feel, how your marriage is going to feel, how your finances are going to feel. Does that make sense? You feed your soul a bunch of soda, come on somebody, you're going to get sluggish. And maybe you know what I love about young folks, how their body can get away with stuff. Come on, y'all remember when I was young and you had all that soda and then you had a big old pizza and then you got up in the morning like you had a salad. You didn't feel nothing. But you start getting 20-something. You start getting 30-something. At 40, I don't even like looking at pizza. I get sick. I look at pizza. You follow what I'm saying? What are you talking about? What I'm talking about is you can only abuse something for so long before eventually you begin to see things differently. Can I say this to you? What if I told you that most of suicide events are really because people are soul sick? What if I told you that the majority of divorces happen because people are soul sick? What if I told you today that most family problems are really not the differences that we have, but the sicknesses of our soul? Kind of hard to handle, huh? I think you would be better off. I know I would be better off if I fed my soul and watched my body benefit. So today I'm going to talk about crutches to ladders. Somebody say crutches. Anybody ever been on crutches? Crutches are a funny thing. Crutches come in to give you support, and they look kind of cool. You know, when you're in school, everybody's like, what happened? You get a little attention. What happened? Right? I know somebody often stays on their crutches a little longer just to get a little attention. But can I say something to you? Crutches are necessary when you can no longer function how you were designed. I want you to catch that. Crutches are necessary when you can no longer function how you were designed. Right? So I was designed to run, but while I was running, I rolled my ankle. What happened to my ankle? It swelled up. And now the normal functions of life, like walking, I can't do. So I have to have a crutch because the pain of my life altered the design of my life. Boy, I sure hope you're hearing me today. If you find yourself needing a crutch, what it's saying to you is somewhere along the way, you got hurt doing something normal that now makes you function abnormally. And if you stay in this condition too long, you will no longer see the crutch as something added. You look at the crutch as part of who you are. But can I say something to you? You were never designed to live life on crutches. You were never designed to meander through life through crutches. You know, the sad thing is that sometimes through an accident you find yourself on a crutch. But you know, sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes people do things to you that make you reach for crutches. Was it that it was your fault? Maybe you had parents who had to work. Both of them had to work, and so they neglected you because they were trying to provide for you. They maybe weren't inherently doing anything wrong. They just didn't understand what you needed, and so you were raised outside the care of your parents, and maybe something happened to you that should have never happened to anybody. But now you see men differently, or now you see women differently, or now you see leadership differently. Now it's difficult for you to navigate a relationship because maybe your spouse cheated on you when you were faithful. Maybe somebody did something to you, and now all of a sudden you find yourself reaching for things that are abnormal because you don't ever believe that you can be a happy wife. You don't ever believe that you can be a happy husband. You don't ever believe that you're going to be a good father, because how could you be a good father when you didn't have one? And so you walk around with these crutches. Am I talking to anybody? You find yourself looking for a party not because you want to have fun, but because you can't stand the crutches anymore. You can't stand how you feel about yourself. And the reason I'm telling you this is because Jesus didn't resurrect. This is not a picture of people who are in the world alone. This is how people are in church. And Jesus didn't resurrect just so that you could come to life. Jesus resurrected because he wanted to help you deal with the crutches in your life. Does that make sense? Are you getting anything out of this? And I want to say this to you. Maybe sometimes we develop crutches as a mechanism to cope. And it may be okay for a season. But do you know if you use crutches for too long, the good in your life begins to dissipate? You start losing the strength in your legs. The muscles begin to deteriorate. And before you'll know it, what was never intended to become your design has become the way you live. So what do you do with crutches? What do you do with crutches? Well, I want to take Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So, number one, hope helps us see past the flaws. Hope helps us see. Now, you're never going to get to the ladder without your crutch. I'm not telling you right now to start operating without your crutch because maybe you don't know how. Maybe you don't know how to love right now because you've never been loved. Maybe you don't know how to feel right now because you don't know what it's like to look past your flaws. Everybody reminds you of your weakness and your inabilities, and all I'm telling you is get to the ladder. I don't care how you get there, if you got to use your crutches to get there, but get to the ladder. You know why it's important that you get to the ladder? Because if you're all the way to the ladder, guys, on your crutches, but once you take the step on the ladder, somebody say the ladder. Once you take the step on the ladder, here's what you're going to find out. You don't need crutches when you're on the ladder. Crutches don't have any use when you're on the ladder. And what is the ladder? The ladder is hope. What does hope help me do? It helps me see beyond my flaws. Everybody tells you you're not going to be able to make it, but once you step on the ladder, it changes how you see. I can't see here, but when I get here, I look beyond. Am I talking to anybody here today? I was playing basketball Easter with Pastor Lee and Alex, and we was taking on all the young guys. You should have seen us, man. They needed crutches when we were done. We were playing basketball, and my wife makes this comment like she's a commentator on the side. Right? She goes, Eli, who did you pass the ball to? There was nobody there. Which I had to explain to her, Javier, you don't pass the ball where people are, you pass the ball where people are gonna be. You follow what I'm saying? You know what the problem with my wife is? She doesn't have basketball vision. She doesn't understand the game. You know why it's so hard for you to see the good? Because you've depended on the crutches and you haven't accessed hope. Hope lets you see what hasn't come yet. Hope lets you see what hasn't manifested yet. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean God hasn't planned it. The problem is you're looking on your crutches and you got to get on the ladder, because the ladder raises you above your flaws. It raises you above your mistakes, and it lets you see exactly how God saw you. Does that make sense? I have a lot of family who hunts. I'm more successful than them. I never miss because I hunt at Walmart and Rosars. But some of my hunting family, they shoot animals on the run. And if you're going to shoot an animal on the run, you can't shoot it where it is. You got to shoot it where it's going to be. Does that make sense? You gotta have vision not for where you are right now. Have vision for where you're gonna be. You're gonna be hopeless if you only see life the way it is and not the way God designed it for you. How can you see it the way God designed it for you? You gotta get on the ladder of hope and raise your level of sight. That makes sense? You can't get on country music and see hope. You can't get on rap music and see hope. Hey, listen, even Christian rap. I was talking with my little girl. She's like a rap machine, man. I'm not lying to you. My little girl loves rap. And she's like, Papa, they're saying that the more these guys remain negative and talk about the dark moments of their life, then the more albums they sell. Well, everybody wants to be on crutches. Talk to me about my anger. Talk to me about my hate. Talk to me about my struggle. I'm saying no. Talk to me about my victory. Talk to me about my triumph. Talk to me about what Jesus did for me. I don't want to know about my struggle. I see it every day. I want to be on the ladder to see what God already made available for me. Be careful of looking at life always through your struggle and never through your original design. Number two, someone say number two. Number two. Hope helps us feel beyond the pain. Hope helps us feel beyond the pain. He was wounded for our transgressions, is what 1 Peter says. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. Isaiah 53 says this, who himself bore our sins on his body on the tree, having died to sin, that we, having died to sins, might live for righteousness, by whose stripes you are healed. Can I talk to you about crutches for your feelings? You know, I'm in a business, Vincent, where you have to use your mind. Those of you in college, where you go to college and you write a thesis, you do that one time. I have to write a thesis every week. If I don't give you something that is scripturally sound, that has theological basis, and that is relevant to your life, you're going to go, that guy's boring. You did it one time for college. I got to do it every week. So you know what really would have helped, Angel? A good GPA. When we talk GPAs, you know what I do? I fumble through my words. Hey, PE, what was your GPA? 7. What was that? Oh, you didn't hear me? 7. Why do I do that? Because unfortunately, my report card affects how I feel about myself. You know what that is? That's a crutch. Because although I may not have had a GPA, some of you quit learning in high school. I'm still learning. Some of you haven't read a book since you graduated, and you only read that one because you had to. I read every day of my life. So is it the GPA that defines me? Or will I let my report card be my crutch? That make sense? Everybody say something else. For some of you, your bank account, it's your crutch. I got no money. I'm broke. I'm never going to have no money. And you let that define you. Somebody say define you. Your bills, your checkbook defines us. I wonder how your relationships define you. I wonder if as a parent you ever came home to find a letter written by one of your children that maybe sounded something like this. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm sorry I can't do this anymore. If God is real, then why do all the bad things happen? Church just isn't my thing anymore. I want to live my life the way I want to. Don't pray for me. I don't think he's listening anyways. I still love you, but I just can't be around all this Jesus stuff anymore. I'll keep in touch when I can. Love, your daughter. Have you ever defined yourself by a child who didn't follow the good things that you taught them? It's difficult. And so then we go around feeling like we're terrible parents. And we go around, we feel like crutches. Why should I go to church? Why should I help? Look, I failed anyways. You have to learn to live beyond the pain of what you feel. How do you do that, Pastor Eli? Take your pain and your crutches and get yourself over to the ladder of hope and say, God, you didn't give me children who wouldn't serve you. You didn't give me children so that they could serve the enemy. It may not look like they're here right now, but I'm going to let go of these crutches and I'm going to get on this ladder of hope and I'm going to start seeing my children. God, I see my children with hands raised. I see my children with tears rolling down their eyes. I choose to see through the eyes of hope and not through the crutches that I've been given in this life. You can't let your feelings be the crutches that limit you all your life. That's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to make your feelings be the Lord of your life. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's real. Tweet that. You want to put a tattoo on your body? Tattoo this. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's real. Pastor Eli, you want me to get a tattoo of that? Yeah, some of you need it, like right here. So that you can see it next time you feel you want to do something. Just because I feel it doesn't mean it's real. Hope is real. Feelings come and feelings go. Jesus died and he resurrected so that he could give you the keys of hope. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling, hope is more real than what you feel. That makes sense? And number 3, hope helps us take action in spite of our failures. He restores my soul, and he leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. A lot of us are afraid to make decisions because of our crutches. You don't understand, Pastor Eli, I tried once and I fell. You don't understand, Pastor Eli, I did it one time and it didn't work. And we get caught in indecisiveness. And then we go into insecurity. Nobody's going to let me do that. Nobody really likes me. And you may say, Pastor Eli, how important is this message? Listen, I don't even want to get energetic right now. Everything inside me wants to scream so that it captures you emotionally, so that you can hear what I'm saying. But can I say something to you? If the keys don't excite you enough, my shouting won't do anything for you. I want you to know that Jesus resurrected to give you the keys of hope so that you could stop looking at life through your crutches, through the crutches of bad experience, through the crutches of bad feelings, and through the crutches of inaction or lack of action. I don't have a degree. That's because you don't study. I don't have a better job. That's because you're not trying. My marriage is struggling. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like everybody here knows you should have a date night, but we don't take action on it. You know, I was going to tweet this morning, but I just know so many people get their feelings hurt. You know, JC, I want to come home and be treated like a king. Every man wants to come home and be treated like the king of his house. But you know, your wife would treat you like the king of his house, of your house, if you would serve her like a king serves his people. And a lot of us don't do what we know to do. Just look at your neighbor and say, just do it. Just do it, man. Stop feeling insecure. Stop feeling incapable. She said yes to you once. All right already. You said yes to him. Stop questioning that every time you get through a struggle and start doing the good stuff you need to do. Just do that stuff. Some say just do it. You know what you're supposed to do. Just stop leaning on your crutches. I'm going to start my diet on Monday. I'm going to take her out next week. I'm going to spend time with the kids next week. Sometimes you just got to be okay with being ghetto. Pastor, you're like, what do you mean? I know, just stay with me. You don't understand yet. Stay with me. You know, my daughter started playing tennis. And I want to play tennis with her. But I have a real busy schedule. And by the time we get out to a park, you never know when you can play tennis. So I had a learning moment a couple of weeks ago when we started striping the parking lot. I learned how to stripe. In my house, I happen to have a big piece of asphalt. So Pastor Lee was at my house, and I thought, hey, I got a volleyball net. What if we turned it into a tennis net? He said, what? I said, what if we did? We went over to Walmart, got some orange paint. I had a cable that I bought for a goat. I told you it's okay to be ghetto sometimes. I took that cable because I never did use it on that goat. We strung it through the volleyball net, tied it, dropped it a little bit lower, the exact measurement, went and got that orange paint, and I drew tennis lines on my asphalt. I could sit here in indecision and make excuses for why I don't play with my children. Or I could take a decision and take action and start making the things real in my life. Get off of your crutches and make things happen. Don't ask for things. So you come to my house, does it look weird? Yes. I am the only human being with an orange tennis court. But you should have seen us playing yesterday. It's not about how beautiful the thing is. It's how beautiful the relationships can be when you start looking through the eyes of hope and not the crutches in your life. Does that make sense? Don't look at the crutches in your life. I love you, but I can't depend on you. He gave me a ladder, and He gave me the keys to that ladder. And this is going to be the last day. I'm going to live on crutches when He gave me hope. I hope today to have inspired you to lay your crutches down and get on your ladder.